Delanco Township Committee Meeting of March 4th, 2024, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Delanco Township Municipal Building, 770 Coopertown Road, Delanco, New Jersey.
You recording, Janice?
We are recording, Mayor.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 4th, 2024 Township Committee Meeting, held at 7 o'clock at the Municipal Building, 770 Coopertown Road in Delanco. Move a roll call, please.
Mrs. Patrick. Here. Mr. Olet.
Here.
Ms. Seuss. Here. Mr. Templeton.
Here.
Mr. Bartlett.
Here. Also present are Township Administrator, Mr. Schwab. Is Harry here? There's Harry. Mr.
Yeah.
Fox, our Township Engineer. Mr. Heinhold, our Solicitor. Mrs. Lord, the Municipal Clerk. Mrs. Russell, Deputy Municipal Clerk. Mr. Fenimore, the Superintendent of Public Works. Adam Tilger, the Police Chief. And that's everybody. Can we please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The sunshine statement, please, Janice.
Please be advised that proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act in the following manner. Written notice has been mailed to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post and published in the January 4th, 2024 editions. Written notice has been posted on the official bulletin board of the Township of Delanco at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. This meeting of the Delanco Township Committee may be transmitted via live stream on YouTube video. The streaming of the meeting is not intended to be relied upon as a formal public access under the Open Public Meetings Act, and if the technology is disrupted for any reason, the Township meeting will proceed in person as an official meeting in accord with the official notice. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Janice. All right, first item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-53, honoring Miss Judy Spencer. Judy, could you please join up?
He's going down.
Come up here. Let the people see it. Resolution 2024-53, honoring Judy Spencer. Whereas the contributions and service given by those willing to serve their community should not go unrecognized. And whereas during Women's History Month, we wish to celebrate and recognize women whose achievements have helped build and strengthen our community and have opened doors of opportunity. And whereas Judy Spencer was Delanco's first female firefighter in the Delanco Fire Department, the first female EMT in the Delanco Emergency Squad, and the first female police officer in the Delanco Police Department. And whereas Judy Spencer has also served this community as Delanco's Municipal Court Administrator for several years, and whereas this honor is in recognition of Judy Spencer's outstanding professionalism and achievements as a trailblazer for women to realize their full potential as members of our communities and workplaces. Now, therefore, I, as the Mayor of the Township of Delanco, on behalf of the members of the Township Committee and all the citizens of the Township of Delanco, do hereby recognize and commend Judy Spencer for her dedication and outstanding service to our community and for her contributions as a role model to us all. This day, March 4th, 2024.
It is on fire. No, that's what it does.
Can we go over here with?
Yeah. Thank everybody for being here tonight. It's also fitting that the police department also acknowledged Judy. Mayor said a lot in his statement. He really was a trailblazer, it's a trailblazer. Unfortunately, I never worked with Judy, but I can tell you I've known her for approximately 25 years now. I worked with her husband, sort of in Linwood, Woody Spencer, in the Linwood Park Police Department. And over the years, I can tell you the amount of support that Judy has shown for police in our FOP Lodge 2 is remarkable. Judy, on behalf of the Delanco Township Police Department, I'm going to issue this certificate for dedicated years of service to Judy Spencer, the recognition of her outstanding service to the Delanco Township Police Department. Thank you.
I also have an update attached.
Love the patch.
Yeah. It's not like we're in the whole room.
No idea.
Amazing. That's awesome. They all came
We got a female special officer.
Yes. And it's a good thing Sam didn't bring all the kids, so we'd run out of room here. So I think we need to, like we did 2 weeks ago, or last week for Dan Martin, maybe we'll ask for a motion for anyone to give this award to Judy.
So moved.
Fern and Carolyn, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is the appeal of the decision of the Delanco Shade Tree Commission for the address of 622 Union Avenue.
Mr. Brown?
JB?
Yeah, I don't think so. Does he come forward?
Good evening, gentlemen, committee members.
Good evening, Mr. Brown.
You know who I am, our public.
We do.
313 Peachtree Lane, I chair of the Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah, close it up, please. Thanks. Sorry, John, go ahead.
That's okay. So thank you for listening to this. I will intro the matter. I will turn over my comments to Kevin Spadea. He is our shade tree expert. The appeal process, as you know, is new. I think we had one before. So I just want to make sure that you are aware that we are looking for the other party to provide documentation such as third-party evidence, photographs, surveys, authoritative documents, expert reports, or other evidence in support of their request. I hope that is top on your list, okay? I will say that this is an absolutely beautiful tree on Union Avenue, fully canopied, really not causing a lot of ruckus to the sidewalk. Yes, there have been some roots that have grown under their hardscape. However, I think there's alternative methods to deal with that. I have not dug down on their foundation to really see if that is a problem. But we hope we can save this tree, folks. We can't really afford to lose the good ones. You know, we do a lot of work for you guys in keeping the tree line community, as does John. We really do a comprehensive study on each tree request. And trust me, there are some trees that are voted to come down. I'm rather surprised, but because of the science behind them, our expert, some of the members who have more experience than me, I think we found some good candidates. So we have our eye on quite a few trees. This particular tree, we really don't have an eye on because it's absolutely phenomenal. And there were some others in town that we were looking at to help them, and they were beautiful. But the roots were an issue with sidewalk, and we fixed that, as you know, with our sidewalk paver project. So I'd like to turn it over to Ben Zabilia at this time. You can ask him any questions as far as the details of the tree.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Shabilia. I'm a licensed tree expert in the state of New Jersey, number 279. And I have looked at the tree at 622 Union Avenue, and I noted in my report of May 24th of 2023 that the 22-inch diameter red maple in good condition with no visible defects. There is no public sidewalk damage. The raised walk on private property does have some bricks askew. I am uncertain that the roots would have gone under the public sidewalk without heaving the walk and then risen up and damaged the raised walk. It's possible, but it's unlikely. And my recommendation is to reset the several bricks that are shifted without damaging the underlying roots. I did look at the tree again today, and I noticed that on that block where the tree is, there are 6 trees. One of those trees is slated for removal because it had storm damage. One is an ash tree that is going to die shortly because the emerald ash borer is killing all of our ash trees. And then one is a newly planted tree that's about that big at chest height. So this tree is the nicest tree on the block. And when the ash tree dies and the Bradford pear that's slated for removal is removed, you're not going to have much on this block. Delanco in 2005 had a 30% vacancy rate of trees. That means that there was a spot in the right-of-way for a tree that wouldn't conflict with a private tree, a homeowner tree. So 1 out of every 3 spots in 2005. By 2013, that has gone up to 34% from 30%. The new inventory should be done relatively soon, and I expect that that vacancy rate continues to climb because we have a lot of death from the emerald ash borer and also from the bacterial leaf scorch of the pin oaks. We need every tree we can get in town, and I can't see any reason for removing this one. Do you have any questions about this? Yes.
I have a question regarding the roots. There's a lot of roots in the yard that have grown under the hardscape, and they did replace their sidewalk, I think maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But there was another tree in Newton's Landing that had this same root issue where the roots were actually above ground, and they actually went to the woman's foundation, where her front porch, let's say, wasn't a foundation. And John assisted in getting rid of the roots because once they started digging, they realized. And how many bucket loads were the roots, John, on 24 Wolverton?
3 loaded buckets.
3 loads. So if you could see these roots, and I think it's not so much the tree that the people were concerned about, it's that these roots are growing right to their house. And they're concerned about what it's going to do to their foundation. And this is just what's above ground. So, I mean, I agree with you that it's a beautiful tree and that the tree looks healthy. But at what expense do we keep a tree, or will you let the people cut these roots that are growing towards their house? Because that's the issue here. It's the roots in the yard, and when I read the information, John, if you correct me if I'm wrong, was that they were recommended to mulch over the roots, to put mulch over and make a flower bed or something.
Well, that was one of the responses. However, Kate, if I could add to your root issue, the one in Newton's Landing, we had decided that this was encroaching on their front lawn, up to their front walkway and their front porch.
Right.
Okay? And it was splitting the sidewalk. This particular tree on Union is on the side yard, okay? There is no backyard landscaping, and I have the same issue on my front lawn, where the roots to this pear tree are growing above surface. And yes, if I didn't want to be cheap, I would get mulch or dirt and fill it with topsoil. But I've taken my mower right over it, raised the wheels and what have you, sometimes it nicks the root. But I have examined, I noticed this. This part of the house is not being used, by a family or children. Matter of fact, it's beautifully landscaped. I mean, it's a beautiful house. They've done work beautifully through the years. But listen, if this was affecting the front walkway like Newton's Landing, I might say that was a problem.
It's off to the side, but it's not, just like Newton's Landing. It wasn't affecting her front walkway. It was affecting the side of her driveway. It wasn't her front walkway at Newton's Landing.
Oh, Newton's Landing, it is the front house. It was.
It was the front yard,
Okay.
and this is their front yard. This is their front, it's this,
Yeah.
And it's toward the rear.
yeah, it's going towards the corner of the
I
house.
think we took that into consideration,
Yeah.
that it's not, nobody's gonna trip and fall where it's at. But as far as putting mulch over something, John does it all the time. You do it at Gateway Park. You put mulch over those roots and balls on those trees, which by the way, it's too much.
I don't put the mulch
yeah.
on, John. I just do the weeding. I don't
But
mulch.
there are ways to do it. And you know something, Kate, if it were my house and I had roots going to the foundation, I would take care of it myself because it's my home. I don't want one growing into my basement.
So that's what I mean, like, is there
But I'm not gonna take the canopy.
is there a resolution for them to cut the roots that are in her yard? They're under the brick, the brick, they have a brick walkway. They're raising the brick and in the yard. I mean, can they do that? I mean,
Under the fence, too.
and it's going under the fence, it's going, I mean, I did see it.
Sure, well, I would hope so, because this appeal's been going on for.
Exactly. So I mean, so if you can keep the tree, but can they remove the roots that are affecting their property? They're affecting their yard, they're affecting their brickway that they have. Actually, I was with my cane and I tripped on their bricks because their bricks are starting to raise.
Well,
So I'm asking a question.
I'm glad it doesn't change, because when we crafted this ordinance, we really never addressed root structure within the private property,
Right.
okay? I don't think we had jurisdiction over that right away, and I don't think we ever claimed to, okay? So, our jurisdiction is right away, which over there, I think it's 50 feet from side to side, and the sidewalk, but, what happens on their lawn, I don't think we have any are there any root ordinances though?
I don't know that we've ever gotten that far. I would be curious, though, what the implications are for the law. Like, are we essentially killing the tree if we remove the roots, or what does the science say about that?
Well, I'll let Kevin touch on that, and Phil Matlock's here too, and with this, I don't know, do you have anything you want to add to that? You're good? Okay, come on.
I have a quick question about the roots. I've always thought that the roots go as long or as wide as the tree is tall, right? Don't the roots go just as long as the tree is tall?
The best way to think of roots is that they're opportunistic, and they go where the conditions are best.
Wet.
They can go farther than the drip line of the tree. They can go farther than the tree is tall. They can go down 6, 10, 12 feet. But most of your roots are in the top foot or 18 inches of soil, and they really are opportunistic. They rarely go onto the street because there's no reason for them to go there. The oxygen level is terrible. They have to go down underneath the curb and then come back up to the pavement. You just don't find very many roots in the street. You know, the roots aren't seeking the basement of the house. They're seeking nutrients and water. And that would cause them to go there. In my experience, I've only had 5 instances where roots were impacting a foundation. And this is over 40 years. It's possible. It's very unlikely that it happens. And in those 5 instances, you cut the root and you put a barrier. Something along the foundation would be simple as putting in crushed stone next to the foundation, help the drainage by the foundation, and the roots have no reason to go through the crushed stone toward the foundation.
Do we know if it's a stone foundation or a cinder block foundation in their house?
I don't know.
I think it's stone.
The homeowner says it's a stone foundation.
It's stone foundation, I think it was in here. And, so Kevin, can they cut the roots at where they're starting to, I mean, that's the real question here, is the root issue. I mean, it's obvious that the tree is beautiful and all the roots are growing up
On the surface.
on the surface. They're not growing down, so, but they are
If the
going.
roots are at the foundation, I would say by all means cut.
So can they cut them where they start growing in their yard, when they're hardscape in their yard? I mean,
At that point, you're going to be impacting the tree.
but there's a distance there. I mean, so,
What happens is that you introduce decay fungi when you cut the roots. You know, it's an injury, and just like if you had your skin rubbed off, you know, it could get infected. The same thing happens with a tree. The more roots you cut, and the closer you cut to the trunk, the more likely you have infection that would impact the stability of that tree.
so I don't see their yard as being that close to the trunk. But I'd be interested to see if somebody were to dig under, how far those roots go, because I mean, I could see how far they were visible. But even with the woman on Wolverton, those roots weren't visible up to her front porch. They were visible halfway through her yard.
That's an estimate.
The front, yeah, the front yard.
Yeah, that Wolverton house was, you know, that was pretty violent.
That was
They were
fine.
going crazy.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Yeah.
Step up to the mic.
Right, exactly.
Used to live in that neighborhood on 1037 Franklin Street. A large solar maple next door. On one side has sugar maple on the other side. None of those trees impact the foundation. I have served for years. Now they're going to continue.
Are those trees still there, Bill?
Yeah.
We just did, I know you did a pilot on one, but that's not that close to your house.
No, that's the tree.
Okay, which, oh, in your yard you're talking about? In your yard?
They
are roots. That's not tree, that's roots.
I can't hear what you're saying. Okay, but did you cut the roots that, were they raising anything? Were they, yeah.
Now, at one store that was built in the 1880s, that's also a stone foundation, and I had water problems at one point. You could actually see water coming through, but thank God that these guys that do waterproofing in the basement.
Yeah,
What a difference. There's not a drop of water down there, not one stray root trying to get in. At one point, the water was pouring out of these stones. These guys know what they're doing. So maybe if they're having water issues and the root's trying to follow that, they don't want to get their basement waterproof.
I don't know about that issue, but I just think that the roots in the yard are a hazard.
So I think it's a twofold question there, like you brought up, do we have jurisdiction over that? I'm guessing you're recommending they don't cut them because they can introduce disease or a fungus, but we can't tell them that necessarily.
if somebody does something in their yard, I don't think we have any
Right.
enforcement action.
Sure.
So from the sidewalk,
There on that ordinance, because they're definitely
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even in Pennington Park, if you go out into Pennington Park, there's trees out there with roots coming up to the surface, step up over it, okay? I've been doing it as a kid, running around a ball field, and there's a tree root, you move on, you walk up. You know, we really have to fight a little harder to save these trees. There are options for that homeowner. Yeah, just putting down mulch is the easy fix, but how about building it up with soil? How about building your ramp up over those roots? I didn't see where it was detrimental. If it was stripping people walking in and out the front door, it would have been a different story. But this is for the backyard.
no, it's off to the side, it's not the back, it's the front. I mean, it's the front of the house. The tree is in the front, so the roots are in the front area of the house.
And if anybody was outside yesterday, that sun was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, so-
Yeah, I understand, trees and shade. Yeah, I'm planting a couple in my lot, because I need some shade, and I understand that, but this is in their yard, it's not, the roots are in their yard, so if we have no control over their yard, then if you can't take the tree down, then they should be able to remove those roots. Because we don't know, just like we didn't know on Wolverton, that those roots, that he would have 3 bucket loads full of roots.
Well, nobody ever told John, with all due respect, to take the roots out in the yard. That's not our job.
I know, I'm
That's
not,
the township's job.
I'm just saying.
That was the sidewalk guy that did
The
it.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she told him,
We usually let the roots die underground.
yeah, well, it was the sidewalk guy that did it. And that's what he did when he started digging for the sidewalk out. It was unbelievable, the tree roots there.
Yeah,
But Kevin is right though, as far as the soil. That's why those trees grew up out there, because there's no good soil out there. All the soil was to the top. And that's a perfect example of not having nutrients that's going down in. That just skimmed right across the top, and it was just going to get worse as the tree got older.
Because that sandy soil
But,
out there, right?
I mean, I looked at that tree, and I don't know why they can't cut the roots on the side of it, take and watch it, but that tree is a nice tree. There's no doubt about it.
right.
It's one of the nicest, the sidewalk blocks are all pretty good, you know. I mean, I would be hard to take that down.
Yeah, we have a few instances where homeowners have done construction work, such as sidewalk replacement, without our blessing or inspection, and we are keeping an eye on those trees. One is dead on Walnut Street. It's evident that it was from the sidewalk construction, so, if you do cut the roots, or if they cut the roots, we won't go in that property and cut the roots. And there are tree guys, that's on them. But we can't do anything.
No, so I'm looking right now at 238-4C, which describes prohibited acts, and it says cutting roots from a township tree in such a manner to destabilize the township tree, or cutting roots without any prior approval. So I think we can grant approval to cut the roots, but there should be, reasonable measures taken so that they're accounting for, hopefully, the longevity of the tree in addition to addressing the problems on their property. Certainly, if somebody cut the roots in a way with the intent of, or, putting something in the soil that was intended to be consumed by the tree and harm it, that's not acceptable.
So how old do you think this tree is, Kevin?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How old do you think this tree is?
It might be 40.
And it may have a few good years left?
I would say a few good decades. One thing I wanted to address is that the reason I recommend mulch over the roots behind the back fence, because the entire yard is mulched. And, another couple square feet of mulch would solve the tripping problem, and it's not out of character with the yard. literally the entire yard is mulched. The entire yard outside that fence is mulched.
Outside, but the roots are under the fence and in the backyard where there is grass, in the side yard,
That mulch work.
yeah.
Anybody else
I
have
just
any
want to add to
questions?
Doug's comment on the ordinance, 238-4. If they do affect the roots and there's, the tree fails, then they have to replace the tree. That's in the ordinance too.
Do they have to take it down at their expense? At the homeowner's expense, yeah.
238-4.
Well, they have to plant the tree at their expense.
But not take it down.
I don't think they have to take it down at their expense. They have to plant the replacement
Well,
tree.
they have to donate a tree to us.
Yeah.
To plant something.
So it seems like, is there a way for them to have some review authority where they can grant certain root removal with necessary precautions made so that they're not, taking reasonable measures to try and protect the tree?
I was gonna ask Richard, since he's Mr. Haddon, the town with many huge trees. Did you run into this problem where the roots were on the property owners?
Property owners took care of it without asking. But,
Yeah.
The answer is if you cut it X number of feet from the foundation, that's pretty far away from the tree. And, I didn't know about the stone issue, but obviously that'll have the minimum effect as opposed to cutting it at the sidewalk line. So, if it's the concern is the impact on the foundation. I never heard of, some real old houses that had soil foundations, in effect, the roots might have wanted to come in and join it, but I've never seen them come into a foundation. But if that's a concern, yeah, you cut it X number of feet from your foundation. I don't think anyone can stop that.
No, I don't.
But if the tree then dies shortly afterwards, and as Doug points out, then just like whether the sidewalk contractor did it, then you come and say, oh, gee, why did that die all of a sudden? And now if you can tie it in together, then you try to make a case. It's like a person doesn't like the tree and they hammer in the copper nail stuff, there's had some people, I don't like that tree there, and next year they're dead. You wonder why, you find the nails in it.
This is how far those roots have had to
But
go
that's not
to
what,
get
that's not the
beyond
case
the
here, it's a
fence.
case of how to help the homeowner.
Yeah.
It just seems to me, I pulled this up on the Google, not aerial, but the one where you're street view.
Street view.
There you go.
There's enough distance between the base of the tree into the yard, even for that brick patio area, or the brick walkway they have,
Yeah.
that there's probably enough where they could,
They could
if they were given approval to do root removal,
Inside the fence.
seems like there's a balance to be struck there.
Right, because look how far, this is the tree,
Right.
and the roots are growing under here
It's a better
and coming out under the
sidewalk.
fence.
You let them do it in their yard inside the fence, the tree's over here.
Yeah.
So I would propose we keep the tree, but allow them to do the necessary root work in conjunction with a specialist to make sure it doesn't cause any damage to the tree, but also try to find a happy medium with their foundation in their backyard.
If I may make one more comment about the roots, the recommendations for when you're working around trees doing construction is that you stay away from the tree 1 foot for every inch of diameter of the tree, which would be 22 feet on that tree. The 4-foot sidewalk it's not that far away, If they were making cuts at the house foundation, I would feel very comfortable with that. And then the closer you get to the tree, the more of an impact you're going to have on the tree. And then a lot of times, when you introduce root rot fungi, there is no indication. Only about 6% of trees that are infected with root rot actually show a comb or a mushroom on the tree. 6%. So that means that 94% of them are just hiding out there, and you never know when they're going to blow over. So, you're balancing risk, is what you're doing.
But if since the roots are really exposed under that fence where her brickwork is, I mean, that's gotta be 20 feet, Kevin.
I don't think so.
Oh, I think so.
To the backyard, sure.
Sure, it's,
I
to
was
the,
just building my landscaping back
to the
there.
fence, I think it's at least 20 feet or more.
With a root barrier and foundation is concerned.
From the fence to
The
the
other
back?
stuff, you can just use the ice cream. There's other plantings and bushes, and you can put some evergreens there, they're not just gonna trip over.
Here's the sidewalk, here's that fence.
Just seems extreme to want to remove
Probably
the
not
tree.
right.
20 feet.
Oh, I think so. I think it is.
It's not an equal. And we do run into sometimes where we have to, balance out the request versus the action. That's, but this one here, that tree is just, that's one word you tie yourself around.
Tree hugger. I don't like the roots. I feel for the homeowner that has a root issue in their yard. I think it's something that, they shouldn't have to deal with because we want to save a tree. But I think if the roots are in their yard like that, and that, I mean, that's obvious that they're there, and they're growing underneath too, they're not just on board. I mean, I think they should have the authority to cut those roots.
We can advise on tree signs, but if the tree fails, it's not advising a new tree somewhere.
I mean, that's my opinion, that's how I feel, when it's affecting
Mr.
your
Brown, so
yard.
if we were to remove the tree and you grind up the stump there, we still have the issue of roots in the backyard.
And they'll stay out.
They have to come out.
They don't die for a while.
They have to come out.
But then that goes back to the homeowner.
Yeah, the homeowner.
So either way, we're dealing with the roots. So we, if the homeowner were to, again, at the foundation, do some digging and prevent roots from going towards the house or towards the foundation, and I don't know how many feet away from the house they would have to do that, but put a barrier there and then deal with the surface roots in their yard on the yard side of the fence, whether they could go down, 6 inches, or how would you determine that?
I mean, rather than cutting it, I'd rather see them build up their soil.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the only picture of the roots? Is this the only picture?
I took one
of the
today.
roots?
I took one today.
Okay.
Let's see that.
I mean, that little bit of roots, we're worried about the foundation yet? Yeah.
I think it's a fear of the unknown.
It goes pretty far.
I thought, how hard is it to throw some fill over it or soil or?
Yeah, well,
I
then
don't
they're
agree
gonna
with
get
that,
bigger,
that's
so,
fine.
and then you'll have a
That's
problem in a
somebody's-
couple of years.
They put a lot
I mean,
of
that little
money
bit of
into
root
that
system,
property.
I don't know what's that's such a big deal. I mean, did they have a picture going to the foundation? Where's the foundation?
No, you're never gonna have the evidence that it's stuff.
I mean, did you see whether it was going to the foundation? Is this straight on the other
How
side
do
of
you
the
know
sidewalk?
that? That's the unknown, that's underneath the ground, how do you know that, John?
You know?
How do you take a picture of that?
Well, no, I'm just saying, this is the surface
They're
roots
claiming that it's
underneath of
growing
the
towards
fence.
the foundation. I didn't read that they
Did they
said,
supply evidence or you break from a third?
I think they're
party?
saying that their brick walkway is being disrupted, which indicates that the roots are heading from, I don't think they're saying that the foundation itself has actually been impacted.
no,
The way
no.
I
concerned that
heard
it will-
is they're worried about
Yeah.
encroaching their.
Exactly, yeah.
It's gonna be foundation.
It's,
Eventually. But it's
eventually.
not happening yet.
but
They don't
this,
want it to happen.
Right. But we on J Street, we fight these things all the time. You can't get rid of the trees. Drops an acorn on their car, a branch fell, a kid was walking to school. I mean, we gave everybody an opportunity to take the tree down. I don't know, we'd have a seashore, no trees. So we have to fight for it. Unless you don't want a shade tree commission, then it's up to you guys to disqualify. I mean, disband. No, just for it. I'm looking at it.
It's a legal answer. It's not a law school answer.
Do you have anything else, Gary?
No.
Mike, do you have any questions for John? All right. Well, if you'd like, I don't have any questions. I was out there earlier today. I looked at this. I did see the roots on the other side of the fence. And I saw, I think it was just one brick on the walkway outside of the fence that was up a couple inches. But looking at the backyard, everything you have right on the other side of the fence, I don't see anything further back when it gets closer to the house by the foundation or by any of the brick patio that's getting closer. Anything that was disturbed from my point of view. With what Kevin said about cutting it, any roots, the 1 foot for every diameter of the tree. So if she cut the roots, let's just say, call it 22 feet away from there, which should be just after the roots start exposing on the other side of the fence, I think that would be a fair solution, and then cover the roots with soil that are exposed, soil or mulch.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think they should be allowed to remove the roots. I think they should be
So I
allowed
don't know if you guys, got to make a motion for denial.
Procedurally, Richard, how, since this is our
Appeals, you make a
second
motion,
appeal.
say what you want to do, whether you want a motion to require it be removed, to say it can't be removed, but you can do with the roots, say what you want to say, that's all.
I'll make a motion that we approve cutting the root at 22 feet, since it's a 22-inch diameter tree from
We, not us, not the township. You're talking
We
about-
allow.
They will allow, there you go.
the owner of the
Approve
house
allowing.
to cut the root at 22 feet from the exterior of the tree into their property as required, and cover
to agree with that.
the remainder if they would like with mulch or soil.
How would I do it at the fence?
So your motion is to approve the root cutting at 22 feet from the tree?
As recommended by Kevin. Anyone have a second?
Second.
Second, it was microphone. Mike, okay.
Who seconded?
Mike second.
What about at the fence? I have a discussion, like, what about at the fence? Now, I don't know what 22 feet is. I think 22 feet is before the fence, actually. I'm just kind of thinking,
Mine has a street view.
didn't measure it, but can you see
can
how
see
far
that.
it is?
The sidewalk's 4 foot. You probably have, till it gets to the inside of the fence.
Yeah, to the inside of the fence?
To after the roots stop getting exposed inside the fence, you're probably about 20 foot there.
So I would say at the fence, at their fence, their yard, it's their yard. So it's their yard. In their yard, they should be able to maintain their yard.
By Kevin's recommendation of 20, wherever that 22 feet may lie. Whether that's in the fence, out of the
But
fence.
they actually said that we have no control over what they do
Well-
in their yard, so.
They have, that was John's comment or concern, and I read the section of the code that talks about the fact that it's a violation if you cut roots without approval from the Shade Tree Commission.
No matter where they are.
If it's a root to a township tree.
Any other discussion on the motion?
I'm sorry, just for record purposes, it's a motion to allow property owner to cut the root at 22 feet from, I didn't get that,
The tree.
the tree trunk.
Yes.
So if you're cutting the tree trunk, is it at the end of the tree where all those roots are growing up, or is it just diameter of
From
the
the
tree?
curb line or from the
From the
sidewalk?
diameter of the tree.
From the
No,
from the center
Center,
of the tree?
okay, even better,
From the center of the tree?
Perfect. Center of the tree.
Tree trunk.
All right. Roll call, Janice?
No. Mrs. Patrick?
I think the person should be able to remove the roots from their yard, and hopefully it is 22 feet. So I'd like to give them the authority to remove the roots.
Is that a no on that motion?
So I guess,
We need a yes or no,
so I guess that's
or
a
abstain.
yes. I guess that's a yes.
She's been doing it for a long
I've been
I know,
sitting next to her doing it just as long.
I know, we got on together. 2002. It's really a hard decision to make when it's affecting somebody's yard. And I think we need to stop policing people's yards. I love trees, but I think somebody should have the right to do what they want in their yard, for heaven's sakes. And if tree roots are in it, and that's pretty far, and I would believe it is 22 feet. I could be wrong, it may just be 20, but I'm not going to go and inspect if they take it 20 instead of 22 feet. I say let them remove the roots, so I'll have to say yes, because I don't want them to be denied that.
So that's,
That's a yes from Kate.
So yes, it's a long yes.
all right.
Yes.
Mr. Olet?
Yes, on removing the roots of the tree at the recommended 22 feet.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
I vote to keep the most beautiful tree in the 600 block of Union Avenue. And as far as the roots, hey, that's yard maintenance. I've got surface roots from big trees going across my yard. I get a couple of yards of earth and bury them again and put grass seed and move on and mow it. That's nature. That's how things go. If the root's heading for the foundation, I'd look at the foundation. You've got a water leak there. You've got something, as Mr. Sibilia said, they're opportunists. They're looking for water. They're looking for nutrients. You got something there that they like. Then check for leaks. You got a broken pipe or something there. Cut that off and let the tree live. Yes.
Yes, okay. And Mr. Bartlett?
I'll vote yes, and I'll just caption that with saying, you know, I don't like policing what people do in their yard. We do have something on the books that says they can't cut it without approval by the commission, or in this case, us, under the appeal. But all we could do is go by what the code says at this point. So yes to cut it at the 22 foot from the center of the tree.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
I would like to make a comment about Shade Tree Commission. It's probably one of the toughest volunteer board that we ask our residents to serve on. It's just tough cases every month.
That's why we're raising too much salary.
We're going to double your
We'll
salary.
double it.
But the work you put in, the conscientious effort to the science, the biology, the community, it's all important stuff. And the anguish that you get to go through every month.
Good liaison, partnering with the liaison, so, hey, listen, one at a time, that's the way you do it, one request at a time. You know, these trees didn't just grow overnight, they've been there for a while, so.
Thanks for taking care of that sidewalk at the church
Yes.
so quickly. John, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It was,
Pretty simple fix, too.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, the sand will get washed away, but it's on your radar, and I trust you'll put it on that
And we're- yeah.
sidewalk plan.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Debbie.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. All right, meeting is now open to the public for any comments or questions. This is session number 1. If you have a comment or question, step up to the podium and please give your name and address for the record.
Ray? Nothing?
Nothing, Ray? I didn't see him back there even.
Making sure you are awake?
All right, seeing no members of the public, we'll close this session of open comment. There'll be another one later on. And let's go to comments and reports, starting with our professionals. Harry, what do you got for us?
Thank you, Mayor. On our fire developments, we did have a meeting regarding crossings with,
Harry, can you just move that mic
Pull
closer to you?
microphone, like literally on your mouth. There you go.
We'll find out in a second.
There you go. We held a meeting with the tax officials and members of the HOA, for the crossing. to review the progress that the contractor is making at their developers making out there. It was a good meeting. I think it was very cool with the HOA members and we showed them that certain areas were taken care of before any bonds were released. So we're moving along with that. The developer's going to be arguing about some of the items, but that's just the nature of the beast. So we are enforcing, we're not releasing any bond until the work is completed, to our satisfaction. The township parking lot and field crews along with the Iowa project. We met with the contractor to review the site, the sites, and they are scheduled to start construction in the week of April 1st. They're going to start on Iowa, then move from Iowa to the town hall parking lot, and when they're done that, and then move over to roadway and trails. At that point, there's been some requests that we should actually work on good streams for the trails and whatnot. We'll know how much money we have left in the contract, and we can do as much as we can with the contract money. We may be able to extend the road down a little bit further to help out with the use of the contract. We don't know that yet.
It's going to be the same width.
It'll be 20 feet wide. All the way down, now the existing now is down to 18 feet, just past the concession stand, but we're keeping it 20 feet all the way.
Is the fence part of that paving plan? I know.
No, that would be something
Separate,
different
okay.
with county money, but
Okay.
that would be separate, has nothing to do with this contract.
But this is where we're doing the path from the parking lot to the softball field as well?
The handicap, yes, what I consider the handicap access to the softball field, yes,
And then the path along Creek Road?
correct.
Awesome.
Good.
Good.
The residents will all be notified at least 72 hours before construction starts. And the good thing started on Iowa, is we'll really going to have nailed down when we're going to be affecting the township parking lot. So we can make sure we put coordinated with the chief and have access to the police station during construction.
I would just ask that you reach out to DISA and Mr. Updike's teams and just let them know, 'cause they won't be able to access the fields that day, and you have soccer going on and softball.
Yeah, is there events going on at that time?
In April, yeah, sure. So if you just want to let me know as the liaison, I can pass it along to them.
Okay, that was perfect.
Yeah.
It'll only be the actual roadway work that they're doing, they'll do that probably one day.
Okay.
We just have to rough pave it and pave it, so they'll have basically one day on that, and then the trail will take a couple more days.
And we're going to let the resident at the end of the road know.
Yes, that's it.
So it'll probably impact them instead of everybody.
It will, and they've been really great for all the projects we've done out there, and they've struggled on the grass and look past us.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. The 2023 CDBG grant project, that's the sidewalk, handicap ramp replacement project. That was, as you may know, awarded to Charles Martino. We have a pre-construction meeting on the 22nd. They have started work. We start on 2nd and Edgewood. Then we're going to move to 3rd and Edgewood. Then we're going to move over to West and Colgate. And then the final will be Muller and Walnut. The 200 Ashby HDSRF grant application is still in limbo. The state, how the process works, the state DEP has to review the application, give their report and recommendation to DCA, and DCA will be responsive. DEP has reviewed the application, but they have not come out with their letter of recommendation yet. There were 3 people doing it for the whole state. Now 2 people quit. So there's 1 person handling this for the whole So the backlog is very substantial.
It's been about a year, right?
It's been just almost exactly a year.
Yeah.
There are some, we actually applied for one a year and a half ago, for a private person, and we haven't heard from them back yet. So, there's not much we can do about it, it's free money, but we have to wait. And last, maybe most importantly, was indoor seawall. I gave everyone a set of plans, they're small scale, so it's kind of difficult to see, but if anybody would like a PDF, I'd certainly send them. These are 99% complete. I still have to do my final review and make some tweaks, there's probably some typos and things like that. But this is from our subcommittee meeting, what we are planning to do. We go to page S1, which is the second page in. That's your site plan. So what we're looking at is putting in a vinyl seawall. That's the kind of dark hatch line.
Harbor pole looking thing.
Yeah, harbor pole looking line, yes. And that's going to be, for the majority of it, will be the same material as the sheet ends. Vinyl, corrugated, sheet pile. The end, first, I call it the south, the southern part of the river. Heading to the southern end, where we have that angle, that 45-degree angle, that takes the front of the debris coming up the river, logs and debris and whatnot hitting it. So we wanted to put something stronger there. We looked at steel. Steel is about 3 times the cost of the vinyl. It's also actually does require maintenance, and it's a whole different profile, so it wouldn't match the rest of the seawall aesthetically. We opted for aluminum seawall at that section. It's 60 feet, and the aluminum has a much stronger stiffness strength, which correlates to, from impacts, it won't dent or crack as easy as the vinyl. We're not as strong as the vinyl when it comes to moment inertias and things like that, but it does meet the complications and specifications that we need to do. So it's a better product, I think, in this situation, because our main concern there is the debris and things hitting the seawall. With that, we also are proposing a sidewalk, a 4-foot sidewalk behind the seawall. Now, seawall, if you go to any of the cross sections, which are following pages, you just go to S2. This is a cross section, and from the street, you're looking at it, there's going to be anywhere from 1 foot to 3 feet of exposure above the ground. What I did actually do, so everyone would see it, I put some pink marks out there today, and there's a couple of street signs at each end of the lot, and then a couple of the trees, it's the orange dot. That will be the elevation of the top of the wall. So it can give you a visual of what you're looking at. If anyone has any issues, questions, problems with that, let me know. That's it's a set number at elevation 10. And as you know, the last one was elevation 8. That we had. So we're 2 feet above what the height of that highest time we had.
Oh, well, that's good.
Good.
How much land are we getting? How much land?
So you're proposing a sidewalk along the whole length of the seawall?
Yes. And the reason for that is mostly because the way that the yard is, it slopes down towards the river.
Right.
And now we're putting a seawall blocking that drainage. The drainage has to go somewhere. So we're putting in yard drains. There's 4 of them.
Box stream?
like a yard or not, yes. That will drain out into the river. And each one of those drains has a check valve. So the water can't back up from the river into the yard, only going direction. With that, the way the sheet tiles are corrugated, water coming down to get trapped in each one of those corrugations. So what we have is the sidewalk will fill in the corrugations and then come out an extra 4 feet and slope away from the seawall towards the street. Then the yard is going to drain towards that, so there'll be a swale essentially at the sidewalk. And that's where the drains are going to be. With grading, you can get to the drain.
Now, I know on the proposed plans from when they applied for a grant in 2016 or 17, there was a fence proposed as well. Is that something that you recommend or that might be required for insurance?
We did discuss that, and at this time, what we're doing, there is no law that says you need to have a fence on a seawall or bulkhead. No, there's no code. It's up to everyone's individual preference and their thoughts on liability, etc. Here I'm sure you'll see most of them don't have fences or guardrails or anything. A lot of private residents put up fences at their own reasons. The seawall, like I said, will have a reveal of anywhere from 1 to 3 feet. So at the 3-foot portion, you wouldn't even need, because you already have a 3-foot high barrier. The rest of it, we're feeling it may or may not be needed, probably not. But what we figure is we wouldn't do it under this contract. What we can do is we can build a seawall, get it up, and then we can decide, because this contract is going to just hire a sub to fence up.
Yep.
It's going to charge more than a fence guy.
Right.
So we can just get this done, then we can take a look at it, assess it, and install a fence. So portions if you want. We were looking at the wire, cable, plate fencing, so it's less intrusive. They only have to be 18 inches high. So there's things we can do about that, but we decided that we would wait and see how it comes out, and we add a fence. Especially we can add it to the park improvement, so it matches.
Yeah.
Right.
So it all kind of makes sense.
Would the JIF require us to have a fence? Because I know, like some areas that are publicly owned, I just wonder if the JIF would require that. And how much land are we gaining back? How much actually are we gaining back with this seawall? Any?
I don't think so, but that look.
I mean, it's really going to be where it is now, right?
Yeah.
No.
Is it going to be?
Elaborate on that at this time.
Is it going to be, oh, okay, it's going to be out further and then we're going to have to fill in?
It might be, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's, I wanted to see, yeah.
I would be glad to talk to,
It's going to be a beautiful thing.
it's going to be.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah,
Understood.
oh, I would hope so, after 10 years of working on it, yes, I would expect
You
it to
will be
be
very
nice.
surprised on
I'm sure it's going to be out
how
there.
it's going to be.
Okay, all right.
And then-
I guess it's gonna look like this photo that we have up here.
That's, we getting to exactly, I also gave everyone a photo.
Yeah.
We get the palm trees that are shown on this photo as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
Is this taken in your yard, Harry, is that right, that palm tree thing?
No, actually, no. That is what we're going to do on the top, rather than what we did on the street ends.
Okay,
We do on the top. It's a concrete cap. So that cap will run the entire length of the wall.
they just.
It does a lot of things. It helps structurally, aesthetically, it's much
On the
better.
guy's
than
property,
the top. And we have something else that we can build to when we do the park contract.
So it's different than the street end, it's not that aluminum cap. You don't have to worry about the cap ends and all that nonsense.
Yeah, that still aren't on there.
Quick question on S1 here, you have slated to be removed 1, 2, 3, like 4 trees? I guess because they're in, 5 trees, because they're in the water, actually?
Yeah, well, most of them are in the seawall portion. There are a couple that are, we're already taking in a couple more by the program.
Uh-oh, where's the Shade Tree Commission?
John might be ready.
What about all the brush? Is that something we can cut back?
That's all going to be gone.
That's
You're
gonna be
have-
removed.
It's gonna look like this, except for you're gonna have a reveal behind it.
Right.
It's
Right,
gonna be straight lawn, right
straight,
to-
yeah.
Well, to a sidewalk and then to the wall.
No trees, no shrubs.
I think it's going to look good with the
That's awesome.
sidewalk there, besides serving the functional purpose of draining the water away. Nice place to walk along, take some photos along the river,
Yeah,
check out the sunset.
Yep.
Nice job there.
It's all, it all kind of came together on that.
It actually adds some support to the upper part of the bulkhead too.
Correct, structurally it helps tie the whole bulkhead in together, it makes it strong. I guess, last is on Union Avenue, where the boat ramp is located. We're going to, you know, it's the brick wall, so there's also a side here, you still got it. Got them all.
Yep.
We're going to go in front of that of our wall.
Okay.
Past it, go over it, there's a drainage pipe that's sticking out. We're going past that drainage pipe to the curb line. And then we're going to make a 90-degree angle and come up the curb line, about 15 feet. So all that area there, we're trying to pipe in,
I see here.
well, that will now protrude through the seawall with the ductile that will still be attached to it. And that'll be filled in. With that being said, there are 3 trees. One is definitely dead. The other one's half dead, and then the third one laid at the wall. That goes into do this work.
They're all bad there. I checked them out today.
yeah.
Yeah, they're bad. And then also,
trees now.
so you know, so you're gonna be confused, like you said, I told you, you
I
painted
like the view.
some trees with orange paint, same paint that I used to mark the elevation.
This is yellow.
Oh, this is yellow?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, then look at the orange dots, that's the elevation of your seawall. So when you look at those, you'll be able to visualize what you're gonna look at, and the ground level will be very close to what it is now. So that'll give you an idea. And that's where it sums it up.
Nice job, Harry.
There's more.
And Carol will give Scott that site plan so he knows now what he's got to design around.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this is the start, and then he's got to design around it, where to put, what he's going to recommend. So now we have something to work from.
So we're meeting with Mr. Taylor and a few other representatives on the 14th to go over the park plans. The waterfront park is kind of back on our radar now that the seawall's getting installed. And I know things have to change from where we initially had, like the gazebo proposed and stuff. So I will give this to Scott, and he can kind of design around this. And if he has any questions, I'll tell him to reach out.
Sure, and I can PDF them a copy.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
We talked about it way back.
Yeah.
It's that services.
Yeah.
And I guess it's where Richard comes into funding for it, and we'll have it set up. But our estimate for the work now is close to $800,000.
That's it.
Like 793.
yeah.
That's for the installation. That's not including all the costs we've spent already.
Correct, that's just for the.
That's just a bit, that's just for
What you see
the,
here.
yeah.
And so as I wrote to you, I'll have on your next agenda what we had in the budget last year, the supplemental funding in anticipation.
For the
So
sturgeon.
is it just 800,000 or is it 900?
Well, it'll be
Just so that they can go.
we're gonna add 200, so we also, we're paying engineering, we've paid all the preliminary costs.
Right,
So by doing that, we'll make sure we have at least 800,000.
at least 800, okay.
Yeah.
What else you got, Harry?
I think that's it.
And lastly, as I had reported before, the work, because of the sturgeon, excuse me, can only be done from July 1st to
October.
August 31st. That is work within basically the driveway and the piles.
Okay.
So once that's done, as far as like they can do the concrete cap, they can do restoration, all that kind of work after that timeline. But the work has to be done in that time period. The other, if things go over or anything happens, from September 31st
30th?
30th to November 1st is the next window that
Yeah.
you're having. So we want to make sure that we get this project awarded early and the contractors can get all the materials ready, get everything ready, shovel ready to start on Friday. So that's the plan.
Is there like a couple contractors that do this, or is it usually like 1 to 2?
There's, there's 4 of them that I know directly that we will call and ask them to bid on. There are other ones that will bid on it. So I'm going to guess we're going to get probably about 6 bidders.
All right, good.
It's a big project.
Thanks, Harry.
That's all I have.
All right, perfect, thank you, Harry.
Does anyone have any questions or objections, because he's gonna move, we're gonna get out to bids before your next meeting, I mean,
Yeah, it's gotta
this
be.
lets
We
him
have
go,
to.
we'll, get the funding so that it's available. Well, as Kate said, we'll probably have it 900, so that the hope is that we won't have any issues, with, making an award if it's not exactly that number, but you can make that decision at the time of the bids coming in, so we'll have that next week, next meeting for the introduction, public hearing, the April meeting. And then, the next thing, Harry, let's see, the timetable is to, try to receive bids, by May 1st. And if we can award it the May 6th meeting, we can start construction July 1st. That's the hope. So, we'll keep you posted.
Good.
One item that we did discuss, in case the question does come up, the Zerberg Mansion has 1, possibly 2 drains that have been broken or compromised that drain out through that waterfront park. And so during the excavation, those pipes, when they're found, will be restored, replaced, and they'll have the same exit through the bulkhead. So hopefully that'll alleviate their flooding and drain problems at the Zerberg Mansion.
Makes
Yeah,
sense,
'cause
do it once.
They flood right in there.
Is that
Yeah.
the street drain right there? Or
There's
Is that
There's
underground?
In the
private
loop, right?
drains that come out through them, we broke.
Okay.
They're small, they're 6 to 8 inches. There is 1 12-inch steel pipe, and I'm not really sure where it comes from, but we're connecting that through.
Drains water.
And what we did was, because we don't know, there's so much debris and so much erosion, we don't know where the pipes are anymore.
Right.
So we have a contract and allowance, and numbers set aside, so that when a contractor digging comes across one, we can fix
Yeah.
it, put it through the seawall, and we have the money in the contract to do it under an allowance.
Or terracotta, I'm sure, right?
There is some terracotta, there's, like I said, there's ductile iron, and I saw a piece of the concrete pipe, but I'm not sure if it's functional. We don't know.
Okay.
Is the answer. So when we uncover them, we'll research them, but we do know, without a question, there's one that comes from the New from their window well. And we located that
From their what?
from the window well. They have
Oh, the window well, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And we said we'd be helping out the Zoo at the time. We could dive in and see what came out, and so we know where that place goes. But there may be more. So
There's one that floats in
Yeah.
there.
And Harry, I forgot to ask at the meeting, what about the, price to do the photographs that the
yes,
state historic people need?
Initially, we have someone on staff that is actually certified by the state to do this work. I was going to have them do it, but they indicated that this confusion, they can't get to it. So I'm getting a price from the contractor.
Yeah, because that's another reason why I make sure we have enough funding for these unknowns. I don't know whether that's a $2,000 job or $20,000. I have no idea what we're
Yeah,
looking at.
you're probably looking at a couple $1,000, yes.
How much?
Couple thousand.
Couple
thousand.
Okay, it's not a 20, it's more like a 2.
No, it's just a matter of doing, they already did all the research, so it's a matter of taking photographs and making sketches of them, and that's, it's not really that involved.
All right.
And do that.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Harry.
All right, can't believe it. Okay.
Mr. Heinhold.
Mayor, I don't have anything to report on beyond what we discussed in executive session, and the other items I've worked on are on the agenda later tonight.
Thank you, Doug. Township Administrator, Mr. Schwab.
Okay, just to follow up what I reported to you, our next budget session is scheduled for the 12th, if necessary. If I get you satisfactory budget information, then we won't need the meeting. The goal is to introduce the budget one way or another at your meeting of March 18th. It does have to get sent up to the state for approval, and the hope is that we can adopt in April. We had a meeting, Janice reported to you in exec, with the other communities, Beverly and Edgewater Park, on the trash collection contract, and we're working on getting out to bids for a new contract for 2026. We got to get out to bids by the end of 2024, actually. We're preparing a shared service agreement with Beverly City for them to use the new street sweeper that we're going to purchase. We have basic understanding of the terms, and our solicitor will draft that and hopefully have that ready for us for the April 1st meeting, for example. And tomorrow afternoon, we're having a meeting at Field of Dreams with the new contractor, and hopefully get started on a fresh way of doing the maintenance to make sure things are improved. So that's what's going on.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Richard? No? Good. All right. Department heads. Chief.
Good evening. Thank you. Since our last meeting last week, I'm not going to report on our statistics since it's only been a week. I'll wait till the next meeting and we'll have a more detailed report. Since the last meeting, all of our year-end reports have been submitted and filed with the New Jersey Office Attorney General as well as Brown County Prosecutor's Office. They extended our use of force and vehicle pursuit reports until the end of March, or middle of March, excuse me, but we got them done and they're filed and all have been placed on our website for residents to view. Big thing coming up on March 12th is we have a police applicant orientation scheduled for that date, and I'm happy to report we have 33 applicants who are scheduled to be in attendance. We're quite happy with the response that we got, and it's a nice pool, so we're looking forward to that event. We also started communicating with the owners of Pied Out. We're looking to do our first ever coffee with a cop. It looks like we're going to shoot for the springtime when the weather is a little better to utilize their outside seating area. So we're looking forward to do that. We also purchased a tent and a table with a tablecloth with our police department patch logo. It turned out really good, so we'll probably utilize that day for the public to see. So it turned out really nice, and I think everybody's going to really like it.
Bring the cornhole too.
What's that?
Bring the cornhole set.
Yeah. That'd be perfect. If, like I said, weather permitting, we'll make sure that happens. Last thing I have to report, I won't be in attendance at the next meeting, but in my absence, Lieutenant Warren will be here. I'll be traveling with my daughter for a swim meet in Florida, so I won't be here.
She's a champion, I'll tell you.
Yeah, she's doing well.
She's really doing well.
Very good, and wish her well for that.
Thank you.
Chief, does the tent have a bench with the handcuff thing?
What's that?
Does the tent you bought have the bench with the handcuff?
No, this is
For demonstration purposes?
all positive things come.
Chief,
come
you want to
back.
report on what's going on, the contractors here for the city?
So today, our hopefully final phase of construction in the police department side of the building is underway. They're putting an access panel in our training room. So once that is done, he said it'd take a couple days. We'll finally be able to get everything moved back and put in order, and we'll start being able to operate like we were before the construction. So a couple days, we should be back to normal.
Good. I'd like to offer the school this year, in October with the township and the police department, like the Women's Club has sponsored in the past, to come and view our facilities for government, so that then they hold an election and run for township committee. So I'd like to talk to the school about doing that this year. So now I think that COVID's over and your construction will be complete and our administrative offices are up and running good, that I can introduce them back to that program.
Yeah, I agree. That was really nice over the years when we did that, so,
Yeah,
keep
they
me-
love
keep me
it. The
posted.
kids
We'll
look
make sure
forward to it.
we make it happen.
Good.
There's only 3 school board members here, so just planting that seed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll talk to them
Chief,
about
I just
that.
wanted to bring up, I'm sure you heard there was a group of dirt bike riders that came through all the riverfront towns, and everybody was pretty upset about it.
Yeah.
Anything to shed light on?
And I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to make a comment about that. So the report came from Palmyra all the way through the river towns. Problem I have is social media is not the place for people to report or complain about things. The proper place to do it is call the either non-emergency number or emergency number. I can't tell you how many times I get the complaints, but we didn't receive one phone call, not one phone call about it. The report my officers received, because I followed up this morning, was that they made a right on Bridgeboro in Riverside, District 70. Shortly thereafter, we were notified that they actually came up Coopertown, and Edgewater Park was able to stop 2 of them because they ran out of gas and they impounded the ATVs and so forth. But then the other group proceeded into Willingboro. I can't stress enough, it does no good when people go on social media and complain or go to third parties. The proper thing to do is call 856-461-1515 or 911. It's hard to do anything when we're getting reports well after the fact.
Yes.
So I can't stress it enough to the public here as well as anybody watching.
We do stress that when we see something. I know I do as the
Yeah, I do
administrator,
too.
that we have to call non-emergency.
That's frustrating to hear
Yeah.
the
You
negative
can complain on
reports on social
Facebook,
media,
yeah.
but not one phone call.
Right.
So.
I wasn't in town, I just heard about it. But technically, the officers can't chase them, is that what I understand? Like, they couldn't go after them?
That's not accurate. There's strict laws with vehicle pursuits in the state of New Jersey. Most of them are first, second degree crimes, and, you have to weigh in the threat to the public. Statistics show majority of police pursuits end up with somebody getting hurt, whether the police, innocent resident, or the person that initiated the pursuit being, the person, the violator. So New Jersey is very strict on when you can and cannot initiate a pursuit, or they initiate it, but pursue.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Fenimore.
Yes, good evening. We put out 2 tons of patch for potholes. We redid the ball fields, the drums and ball fields. We reshaped 3 of them. We still have 2. I have the Babe Ruth field to do yet, and the Field of Dreams, the edge of the fields we got to do. We put up 13 new stop signs. We put up 2 street signs, trimmed 3 trees. We turned our leaves down at the compost site. I've been having, I don't know if anybody has noticed, the mound of wood chips that we've been getting. And the county is not coming as good as they used to. And so, but anyway, Delran offered to tub grind all our wood chips. Now I have a mountain of mulch. Okay, and it's pretty good mulch. And that will fly out of here, hopefully. So that's one good thing. We finally finished the inspecting of the storm drains. We had 2 storm drains that I had to call the county in to redo. The 2 sides were collapsed, so they had to rebuild practically the whole storm drain, one on Oakford and Delaware and Old Creek Road. That was the worst. That was collapsed all the way in. So the county, is going to charge us, but I mean, at least it's not going to be, real expensive if you called somebody in that does that stuff.
I was wondering what that was taped off at the end of the road there. that explains it.
I didn't think that they were gonna be here that long, but when I saw the extent of it, and they only have 2 guys working on it, they have a special crew that goes around and does it. And he was able to bump this crew up to come here and help us out, so I can't complain. We also, I don't know if anybody's been out to the Field of Dreams, where Pennington and the Field of Dreams, that whole woods, seems like the whole woods is starting to die off now. I don't know what happened, it's really strange, but a lot of this stuff is falling onto our property, and we've cleaned it up, so it's not on the field anymore. And that's all I have.
I remember that tree that fell during soccer last year, just randomly out of nowhere, remember?
Yeah.
Towards the, right near the soccer field.
Yep.
John, how about that storm drain that's right on Delaware towards the end, where the little house is, kind of dips down there, remember?
Where?
What street is that?
In front of the Stockton's house,
Yeah, in front of Stockton's.
the one that was clogged.
Yeah, well, that's the way that was, but I mean, it's only a 6-inch pipe there. And I talked to Harry about it. We got to figure something out. I'll have to propose something that we can put a different line in there, because I mean, the pipe's only this big.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the lowest part of town, they're actually right there. So, and for whatever reason, everything, all the dirt and the sand washes up the pipe. It doesn't, it's, because it's all sand from, the river, so.
Right.
But we'll have to put some kind of a thing on there, one of those little duck bills.
John, the lots across the Delaware there, last year or 2 years ago, the woods was cleared out by the by the property owner there. There was a lot of exposed earth, and I'm just wondering if a lot of that washed down into that.
No,
that
that's
storm
only
drain and went into the.
Well, I'm sure there is a lot of dirt that gets washed down in there.
That's Stockton's
But
property too.
I've been cleaning this line out for years, a lot of years. So we had problems with it flooding out.
Right.
And we had to find the drain pipe, and they had it buried under, blocks and concrete blocks, and we had to dig it out, and that's how we found it. There's another one on the other side, that comes down Orchard. That's a bigger one. And we also had to get in there and repair that one time, because that was clogged.
It just seems unnatural that the outflow pipe is above, the stream bed of the river, that somehow you get,
He
get
can,
rock and sand back up in
he
there.
can explain that better than I can.
Yeah, I think the big problem is the side of the pipe, and it's flat, so there's no drop, yeah. It just takes one little thing to start bottoming up, and then it keeps going.
That's just probably the lowest part of town, right there. And that's why, usually it doesn't get too flooded out, but lately it has,
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, John. Mrs. Laura.
I have nothing to report. I just have a couple of procedural questions for Doug before you get to your consent agenda, particularly on ordinance 2024-5. The ordinance, we hadn't had a chance to talk about this. The ordinance references that it has to be referred to the planning board for review and recommendations, okay, prior to adoption.
Correct.
This is not a consistency review, correct? A master plan consistency review.
It's actually similar to a consistency review, but it's governed by the redevelopment law.
Redevelopment law. Logistically, the planning board meets tomorrow. It's not on their agenda, but you have adoption April 1st. They don't meet again until April 2nd. Is that a problem?
My recommendation is that we introduce tonight, set second reading and public hearing as April 1st, and that if the board has not acted on it.
It will not.
Well, if the board has not acted on it before April 1st, then we can carry it at the April 1st meeting to a date that works.
Okay.
April 15th.
But
Well, it's not on the agenda for tomorrow.
Understood. If
Okay.
it's not on the agenda, I can't, I don't control the board, so I can't make it
Okay.
go on the agenda, but I do know that there's a fair amount of time between now and then. I don't know if they want to have a special meeting or not. If
Sure.
not, we're going to have to address it by carrying the second reading, but for now, I'd ask that it just be listed.
Are there any special notifications other than a regular publication as a regular ordinance?
No.
No, okay, because it can be just a regular summary
It can be a
publication?
summary publication,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
then I'll ask Bev to just go over those dates again for yard sale, shredding, et cetera.
Okay, so we're gonna have a townwide yard sale on Saturday, April 27th, last Saturday in April. And the following week will be the free shredding event here at the municipal building, Saturday, May 4th. And also the community cleanup day at Public Works Garage, also be May 4th. So we'll be sending out flyers and notices to residents, especially for the yard sales that we'll have the deadline.
All right. Thank you, Bev. Yeah, John?
Well, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. We're gonna have spring cleanup, April 1st to the 14th. So that's when you can put your leaves back out in the street.
All right.
Oh, okay.
And when are the branch pickup starting?
The last full week of March.
Last full week of March. All right. I noticed a lot of residents have been out already from all the stuff that has come
Yep.
down over the storms, so. All right.
So that's April 1st through the 14th?
That's what we say.
Okay. And that's,
Nobody follows it.
and that's leaves, basically? Okay.
And that's under your normal leaf, optimized leaf pickup schedule, right?
Okay.
Kate and I have a request. Can we make it a little warmer in here?
It's freezing
We're
in this
freezing
building.
down
Is
here.
anybody,
Freezing.
is anybody cold? Look, Joanne's
It's like
got a
cold,
shawl
it's like
out
cold air blowing on.
there.
I don't know.
Bump it up a couple degrees.
Is that the air
to kick it
conditioner?
off.
Air conditioning on.
I guess you
don't know.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah.
Or bring the parkas out, whichever's easier.
I thought it's warm too. My place is burning.
Yeah, around the walls there.
Turn off the air.
5 minutes talking about roots.
All right.
The root of the problem.
And we'll go to Township Committee reports.
Fair
We'll
enough.
start with Mrs. Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Miss Fitzpatrick.
Miss Fitzpatrick,
Yes,
sorry.
okay.
Didn't mean to
yes.
marry you.
No, we're not getting married again. Once was enough. Okay, let's see. I've been pretty busy, and I think most of us have probably attended 2 meetings since our last report. But I did meet with DISA, which is also known as Del Riv. I attended their meetings on January 23rd and the 27th. Carolyn presented their actual income and costs for 2023 and introduced their proposed budget for 2024. It was approved, as well as their meeting dates and activities for the entire year. The number of participants for each year was discussed. They're hoping to find additional ways to market their programs. Basketball now has 218 youth active in the program, and they are having a banquet for each sport at the end of the season. The first is the basketball, which is going to be on March 27th at Riverside High School. Registration for spring sports, which includes baseball, t-ball, and softball, was extended until March 8th. Opening day for spring sports is April 13th and will be held in Delanco this year at the West Avenue Fields. Their next meeting is April 23rd at 7:30 here at Town Hall. The Hen Advisory Board met, and the members were sworn in, and they signed their oaths. There were 2 inquiries that are being addressed. 2 members submitted their applications for final approval by the township. There are currently 3 residents who have chickens and have completed the required test and coop visit. Living Springs, they had a problem with, it was brought to my attention regarding the management office. There was no one on site, and so I did handle that for them, and they were very happy to have someone there on a daily basis. I met with the group on January 26th and February 23rd. I shared information regarding upcoming trips that the seniors were having in town and also services available to them through the Office of Aging. There was a question and answer period And at one meeting, we enjoyed a happy hour, or social hour, I should say, with pizza party. And then January, I had invited the mayor to attend so they could ask him any questions. I attended the OEM meeting, which was very informative regarding the storms we had in January. There was a discussion regarding the Riverside Delanco Bridge closing due to the flooding issues, and I think Matt is working with Riverside's mayor to address that issue with the county. The current training programs were offered and discussed. Darrell Williams from the county OEM was there, and he reported on the county's current situation regarding shelters, which I believe we now have the school as our designated shelter. And as Scott Hamlin discussed the accidents that occurred in Delanco on the river line and the need for vehicles to wait until the red lights are totally off when you're going to cross over the railroad tracks. And I think Matt's going to report on the issue regarding Hawk Island. JIF, I completed the JIF risk management and security awareness training. They're very helpful in keeping up to date on the various items. I also attended the First Amendment auditors training presented by retired Police Chief Hummel. And these auditors have a right to come into your building, into your public meetings, and just video you, and they can question you. I guess you don't necessarily have to answer them, but it was really interesting, and I'm glad I attended that training. I attended the library event. We made a Valentine craft, and it was really a fun time. I enjoyed seeing everyone, and the different crafts that everyone made was a lot of fun. They're hosting a tea on March the 23rd. It's $20 at 11 o'clock. And also, they're doing the annual spring tea. Yes, it's March 23rd. They're also doing another event with tin cans. I think this is so cool. The Can Wind Chime. And that's going to be April 13th. And I'd like to give a shout out to Katrina for 20 years of service to the library. And she has done a phenomenal job in Delanco. Katrina, we're very lucky to have you. Thank you for your service. Recreation, they offered a flower show trip this year, which is going to be March the 6th, Wednesday. They also have agreed to be the leading entity for the Centennial Subcommittee. So far we have members on the board for the Centennial from Recreation, Phil McFadden, Stephen Lohr, and Al Gravo. Township Committee, Carolyn and myself. Joint Land Use Board, Lori Van Genderen and Nan Moore. History Board, Peter Fritz and Mary Hill. I did reach out to Del Riv, and I will be reaching out to the school board and hopefully the teachers for participation in putting together something really great for Delanco Centennial. So it should be a fun year. I did decorate the gazebo for Valentine's Day for all the sweethearts in Delanco, and I just put up the St. Patty's Day decorations today for all these Irish people out there. Terry, I see Terry, and yeah. So I just did that today. Seniors met on February 13th. Excuse me, they didn't meet, it was canceled. So Steve Moritz and members of his band will be entertaining us on March 12th. I did attend the Board of Ed meeting. It was nice to see the new board members in action, and finally had the opportunity to meet Dr. Fitz. They appear to be on track to make improvements to help our students, and I'm looking forward to working with them in the future. Sewer Authority met on February 13th in person. I was unable to attend that meeting. I know the trunk line project started out as a real headache, at least for me it was, but communications did improve. The chief was involved so that he knew what was happening, so he could have his officers in place if needed. And the job is complete. There's just one area that needs to have some grout put in. I've been attending succession meetings with Matt and Richard and Janice. And I attended the Fireman's Banquet on February 24th. It was really nice to see the members recognized for their outstanding service to our community. And it was a Roaring Twenties theme, and everyone sort of dressed like the Roaring Twenties. It was fun. And I met with the professionals for the HOA at the crossings, and it looks like we're just about ready to meet with D.R. Horton to let them know what needs to be done before we can release any bonds on that project. And that's enough.
Thank you, Miss Fitzpatrick, and just remember, we're all Irish
Yes,
on St. Patrick's Day.
that's right, yes.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the other side, Mr. Templeton.
Oh, full plate. A lot of those same events I attended, so I won't get into that. I've been doing a lot of work on with Mr. Schwab and our construction official and Mr. Fox on the revised flood ordinance. We sent that up to DEP about a week and a half ago, and so we'll see if they come back. We had questions on a sentence or a paragraph in the proposed ordinance that's quite ambiguous, and so we're waiting for whatever correction or whatever edit that the state does for that, because that would apply to every ordinance across the state. But anyway, that'll determine what additive, if any, Delanco Township will add to a buffer to the existing flood elevations. Court session back on February 21st. Always interesting because it precedes the school board meeting, and I get to hear the principal of Walnut Street and Pearson School with their issues with truancy complaints that are before the court. So I usually follow up with them at the school board meeting afterwards. Let's see, went to the county OEM training session back on February 22nd. I think I did this course a couple of years ago. Kind of talks about the incident command system and the bigger upper level organization and what's behind it, and then the things. They tell you all the things that when you walk out of the room, you kind of think, oh my gosh, I got to do all this, and there's 1,000 things to do, and how are we ever going to do it? So you just kind of have to still put a little reality check on it and move on from there. But it's always a good refresher. Let's see, township budget sessions, we've done a couple of those and more to come. The seawall, I won't touch on that, but been deeply involved in that thing. A couple correspondence, or one-way correspondence with Senator Singleton's office regarding his sponsorship of the revision or update to the affordable housing law in New Jersey, and expressing our displeasure with the current proposed law that's going through the legislature. And there was a draft resolution that's on our agenda for later tonight, and that circulated amongst the committee. And given the timeline that the legislature in Trenton was moving on this, I asked the mayor and our attorney and Mr. Schwab if there was any problem with sending that draft to Senator Singleton last week. So it circulated, everyone gave a thumbs up, and off it went. So he knows what we think of this. And again, somehow I got drawn back into working on the hazard mitigation plan. I think that's Mrs. Russell's plot to pile more things voluntold, is that what we call it? So I'm helping out with that revision this year. So that's my report, and I'm sticking with it.
Thank you, Mike. Vern.
Short and sweet, ditto to what they just said.
That's okay. All right.
Wait, are you serious?
I mean,
Oh, okay.
I want
Okay.
to go
No,
through
you're good. You're good.
Fern said ditto.
All right.
Don't push it.
Carolyn, what do you have?
Ditto, no.
All right, move on.
I did attend several of the same events that Ms. Fitzpatrick did as well. The rec meeting, as I'm the co-liaison, the DICE meeting, as I'm the treasurer on the DICE board, so I was at both of those meetings. Um, we are looking forward to starting spring sports and working with the kids for softball and baseball, and we have a record amount of t-ball registrations this year. The organization was able to put out flyers to the schools, actual physical flyers that were handed out, and that actually helped a lot. We got a ton of increased registrations from that, so we're excited that finally happened. And thanks to Rebecca Eiler and her business for actually donating the printing for those flyers, so that was nice. Yeah, for sure. I attended the Joint Land Use Board meeting on February 6th. It was their actual reorganization meeting, as their January meeting was canceled due to, I think, the flooding rains that we had. So Laurie Van Generen was named the chair again, and Tom Lord is actually the vice chair or co-chair now. Took Dan Martin's spot. That's big shoes to fill for sure. So we didn't have any applications. We just went through some, basic procedural things. And then tomorrow night we have our March meeting. We do have one application before us. So if anybody's interested in attending that. I did understand that the $250,000 lake grant was finally approved in the system. So we got that award letter. So we'll be moving forward with our engineers to go out for bids for that. So we're excited, and I know Dice is really looking forward to that and very grateful to the township for that project to be getting underway. There's still some things to iron out, but we're excited about it. What else? I think that's all I have. Oh, I did attend the fireman's banquet as well, and that was a good time. Thanks to the fire department for the invitation. It was a fun night to watch Matt dance.
Indeed.
Attempt to dance.
Yeah, attempt. Thank you.
That was my entertainment.
Thank you,
That's
Carolyn. All right, and let's see. Since we last reported on the January 22nd, I attended the Fire Commission meeting on January 23rd and February 27th. Normal business occurred. I could not attend the fire company meetings in January and February as they happened to fall on the same night we were doing our township committee meetings right here. As reported at the Fire Commission meeting, the fire company has a committee to look at apparatus, as a new ladder truck is going to be required to be purchased, as the current truck is coming up on 20 years old, and they're reviewing the best and most cost-effective options for this. And fire company is also working with the New Jersey Forest Fire Service to conduct a controlled burn at Hawk Island sooner than later to get the underbrush taken care of. There were a number of brush fires out at Hawk Island last year, and this will help with that method. The Forest Fire Service did a prescribed burn 2 weeks ago at Pennington Park for the same purpose. And as Carolyn mentioned, we had the annual awards banquet for the fire company on February 24th. A unit citation was issued to the following firefighters for the actions taken on the night of December 28th in a large apartment building fire in Edgewater Park. So we should just want to recognize them at this meeting tonight. The crew for that fire call, Chief Scott Hamlin, then Deputy Chief Robert Hubler, firefighter Keith Morman, then Captain Lester Abrams, now Deputy Chief Abrams, Lieutenant Chris Cave, firefighter Joe Fox, now Lieutenant Fox, and Lieutenant Nick Hubler, now Captain Nick Hubler, and firefighter Dominic Mancuso. Also, Lieutenant Cave received an additional award for the first firefighter off the truck for that particular incident, grabbing a ground ladder, immediately bringing it to the building and going to the second floor and getting one resident off that, and then Chief Hamlin went up and got the second resident. So there were 2 rescues, clearly saving lives from that horrific fire in Edgewater Park that night. So thank you for a job well done to all of those members. I attended the Office of Emergency Management meeting on the 29th. As we discussed, we talked about flooding, and speaking of flooding, Riverside Mayor Corey Kimball and myself met via Zoom with Senator Singleton last Monday and explained our concerns with the flooding of the roadway, North Pavilion Avenue leading to the bridge, and how we can get his support and advocation on this matter. And he indicated he was going to speak to the county engineer, Joe Brickley, and he understood our concerns. Unfortunately, the answer we received from Mr. Brickley late on Friday via Senator Singleton and Mayor Kimball, that getting a one-way valve on the outflow pipe in Riverside is not a feasible engineering solution, even though it worked perfectly fine for us off Poplar Street, and there was no reason given. He did indicate that the county and the Bridge Commission is looking into the placement of flood sensors with advanced warning signs. And I spoke to Harry earlier today and asked him to discuss with Mr. Brickley why it wouldn't work. As to Harry as an engineer and myself as a layperson who could play an engineer, it all seems to work. So I don't know if you were able to make contact with him today yet, since we talked later in the day, but
I have not.
I'll assume we'll hear from you.
I see no reason why a check valve would not work. So unless he can come up with something that I don't know about out there, then I don't understand his answer.
Well, I look forward to hearing the answer on that, and I'm glad I didn't pay for a PE if I came up with the same decision you did on that, so thank you.
Just tell them to pay for our overtime every time we have to go out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't want to do that. I mean, that should be an easy fix. You know,
One
it's
would
not
think.
going to stop at all, you know, when you get heavy flooding. But anything they put in there is going to help,
Right.
you know, not have to shut that bridge down.
It would clearly stop the flooding when the creek is at high tide. It's not, because it will stop the water from going up the outflow. It's not going to help when it rains, but 95% of the time when that bridge and road is flooded closed, it's due to the tide, not due to the rain.
And you know how many times you come across there and you're not thinking, and now you got to go way out of your way.
Oh, yeah.
Just one little thing like that, just you have to go way out of your way to come in.
And we're more concerned about that from an emergency services standpoint. If our police,
Yeah.
fire trucks, ambulances can't get through, like you said, gotta go way out of the way.
So those
Well,
storm
it-
drains are they're not riversides, they're the counties?
Yeah, they're on
Yeah.
your
They're county
your county,
property?
yeah, county roadway.
They've turned us down, this is the third year in a row now, because I applied, I asked them for help, Mike asked them for help doing something with that, and this is the third time they've turned us down and said, that's not gonna work.
No
I
reason
used
given.
the same exact language, because I sent my email to Matt, what I had sent.
But isn't that the Bridge Commission's jurisdiction? I thought that it was.
Well, I sent it to the county and the bridge.
If the bridge is
commission.
flooding,
Yeah, the bridge isn't flooding though, that's the issue. The road's flooding.
Yeah, the road.
Because the county, the Bridge Commission, you know, they take, I think, from the Watch case down to the bend on Broughton Avenue. I was always told that's.
Well, they own that whole road, River Road is all the bridge
I mean,
commission.
it is
I mean,
a
the
county road.
county, it's a county road, yeah.
I mean, that's.
Matt, could you provide that picture of the outlet at the foot of the
Mhm.
bridge
Yep,
Yeah.
to, I guess, Joe or?
yeah, that was,
Senator?
yeah, that was given to the senator.
Okay.
Harry, real quick, that check valve would go on the
That's what I sent
end,
to Harry
right?
today, yeah.
And to give a little bit more background, the development there in Riverside, Caroline, I believe it's called, their original plan was to in fact put a gate valve, not a duct, but a gate valve on that pipe. And because their entrance, their main entrance goes right past that inlet that's going to the property. Since then, they revised all the plans years ago. They're not affecting that piping any longer. They're putting new piping, putting a check on their pipe, and not doing anything this way. So it was actually proposed by developers to put a check valve on that at one time.
The check valve would go where the creek water line is, right, is the creek, where
Right
the
at the-
inlet is.
right on the pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That pipe is owned by the county.
It should be, yeah.
Should be, yeah. For storm drains. Well, Camelot's gonna have a lot of problems with flooding then getting into their complex.
Well, look, it's interesting, I think it's still involved with another town, but they made an emergency entrance, because their entrance literally is designed right where that those spots.
Mhm.
So every time it was, no one in that development was going to get into the normal road. So they made an agreement with the Watch case
To go behind there.
for come around the back way during emergencies.
It's gonna be a lot of going around the back way.
Yes.
We'll see how fast someone complains when the residents can't get in.
And Bob Halgus owns that property across from me that's still for sale, and they want to put a wedding venue there. So that's not going to happen unless they do something with all the flooding.
Yeah, I think the 86 that
It's
plan to
been
put
for
it back
sale
up on
for
the
like
market
20
again.
years.
Yeah.
They just changed realtors.
Oh.
Shirley has it now.
Yep. Let's see, so I'll wait to hear back from Harry on that once he talks to Engineer Brickley. I conducted 2 Meet the Mayor events on January 25th and February 17th. Thank you for Katrina and the library for hosting that. I attended a meeting with Ms. Fitzpatrick, Mr. Schwab, and Mrs. Lohr regarding municipal staffing and succession planning. I attended the joint land use reorg meeting on February 6th. I'm glad to see we have almost a full board, and thank you to those who serve on it, like the Shade Tree Commission. That is a board that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know, you never make everybody happy. I attended a meeting with the town's IT committee and IT consultant on February 15th, and with technology, there's a lot of items that we need updating. We're not going to get into specifics here due to security reasons, but they're very important, and they were incorporated into this year's municipal budget. I attended the second half of the Board of Ed meeting on February 21st after another meeting I had. The topic of schools, I'm incredibly disappointed by the state aid numbers that were released on Friday, which lowered what Delanco receives by $439,000 or so, or 17% of what it received last year. Meanwhile, the governor is touting that his budget fully funds the schools. And the Senate is pushing a bill to help solve this, and the solution is allowing the districts to exceed the property tax cap by 2% with approval from the state education commissioner and without voter consent. So their solution is to take money away from our districts and then allow the districts to take more money from the taxpayers. So for anyone keeping track, this is Senate Bill 2434. On a happier note, I conducted 2 wedding ceremonies, and another one is going to be scheduled for next week. I attended a meeting with the residents of Living Springs with Ms. Fitzpatrick on February 23rd, and finally I attended our numerous budget work session meetings, and I'm happy to see what looks to be a solid budget with good fiscal planning and minimal tax impacts. And thank you to Mr. Schwab for being the wizard behind the budgets, the man behind the curtain, making all the numbers add up and everything balance out. And late Friday, as Carolyn mentioned, I got an email from the DCA, which administers all the grants. And it says, Dear Mayor Bartlett, on behalf of Governor Phil Murphy and New Jersey DCA, I am pleased to inform you that Delanco Township will receive the Creek Road Field Improvement Grants for $250,000. This award will provide funds to install permanent sports field lighting around the soccer field at Field of Dreams Park. So that was a great email to receive last week. Happy to see that move forward.
I guess Harry's handling that from now on, right? Great.
Yep. All right. That's all I have, and we'll go to consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Is there anything anyone needs pulled from the consent agenda?
No.
Yep. Good.
54.
5-4. Okay. All right, proclamation for Arbor Day, April 26th, 2024. Ordinance 2024-4, an ordinance authorizing the grant of real property license with respect to 302 Orchard Street at Block 1304, lots 6 through 7. First reading by title only, and set public hearing date for April 1st at 7 p.m. Ordinance 2024-5, adopting industrial rehabilitation areas redevelopment plan for Block 2100, Lot 11, 401 Creek Road, Block 2000, Lot 13.01, 450 Creek Road, and Block 2000, Lot 13.04, 500 Creek Road. and Block 1900, Lot 1.01740 Creek Road. First reading by title only, and set public hearing date for April 1st, 2024, 7 p.m. Resolution 2024-55, opposing Assembly Bill Number 4, Senate Bill Number 50, amending the Fair Housing Act, FHA. Resolution 2024-56, refund of tax overpayment. Payment of bills, current fund $718,380.97. Payroll $75,353.93. Escrow trust $1,470. And approval of the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Kate and Mike, roll call, please, gents.
Ms. Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Mr. Olet?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
Yes.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes. Resolution 2024-54, resolution authorizing professional services for the installation of field lighting at the Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I just want to, I've made comments about this in previous meetings, and again, disappointed how this has come about over the last year. But this resolution, to me, is a little bit of the cart before the horse, and I was just wondering if at any time this community, the taxpayers, will ever hear what the planned use or utilization of this asset or this infrastructure will be. We've never heard that.
The field lighting?
Yeah.
To light the fields, Mike.
Well, the sun going down isn't a good reason. I mean, they've got two committee members that are current and past officers of Del Rib and Dyson. We've never heard anything. Never heard anything from Rec on how many hours. I mean, it'd be nice to know. It's not a $6,000 or $8,000 snowplow that Mr. Fenimore's going to buy that sits out in the yard for 360 days a year, but when you need a snowplow, you use it. But for field lighting, last time I looked, $250,000 is a hell of a lot of money. And, I just ran through some numbers, and if you're going to use it 100 hours a year, 10 years, 1,000 hours, that's $250 an hour to flip the light switch. If you can justify it, great. But we haven't heard anything from anybody about this.
We didn't.
And that's not how we spend money.
Mike, I'm not sure if you're aware, this is a grant we received. We're
I know.
spending
It's still tax dollars.
$17,000.
It's still tax dollars. It's still tax dollars that are paid by New Jersey taxpayers, the people out here and everywhere. And you have to be as good a steward for everybody else's tax dollars as you would be for anybody sitting in those seats out there. Period. That's your responsibility. That's our responsibility.
I'm pretty
So
sure that there's soccer teams out there 4 or 5 nights a week using lights through March, starting in March, going through June.
Okay.
And that's 2 organizations that are out there at all times practicing, and they also will now have games there. They couldn't have games there because the lighting was not up to par as far as the regulations, so they couldn't have games because it was unsafe. You have plenty of dark spots with these light towers that the organization has to spend $11,000 renting. Mr. Updike also owns his own, and then you have the fuel that goes along with that, which is another $1,000, and noise and pollution. So honestly, if these field lights were done back when the park was built, it wouldn't have been $250,000. It would have been half the cost, unfortunately.
Well,
but luckily we got a grant for it. Luckily we got a grant for it, and all we have to spend the money on now is the design, the engineering fees, which I think $17,000 to invest in beautifying our community and providing something for kids and lights to play these sports, which we all know how important these sports are to socialization, getting kids out of the house, getting them away from crime. I mean, that's been proven. I don't think we need another study, but I mean, we didn't ask these organizations to come in and say, hey, listen, how many hours a week are, we just know they're needed. They pay for them. They justify spending $11,000 a year on them. They're needed.
And that cost is just for practices, as Carolyn said, because those lights don't qualify under the league for them to play a game. And even, now I missed, when Senator Singleton was out there and actually gave them the check for this grant, the big check, because I was recovering from some surgery. But he actually commented about the lighting for the fields, because his daughter plays soccer and has played on our fields, and he thought it was a great idea. We submitted a letter at the last minute when they asked us, and I guess we provided him with about 7 different items of wish list items, Richard, that different members of the committee just sent Richard. He got a nice letter out to the senator and told him, you know, we didn't have a lot of time to put a lot of stuff together. The senator chose that particular item because he thinks, number one, it's a sporting event, it's good for kids to have it, and he knows that lighting is an issue. So, and I don't know if you were on committee then, Mike, but we actually submitted a grant to for a grant to the county to have lighting at that field. I don't know how many years ago. The county wasn't issuing grants for lighting fields at that time, but they gave us the balance of the grant for something else. So it's not like it's the first time the township has discussed lighting the fields or recreation has discussed it. It didn't come down initially when we got our first loan from Green Acres, which was a $500,000 loan to get started at 2% interest to start the fields. All the other items that we've done out there have come through the grant process. That was the only loan that we still have that loan. It's about $18,000 a year that we pay on that. But I mean, I think it's a value to our recreational facility to have the lights. And the way they have designed it is that in the event that we want to add additional lighting, they already have posts for the other fields. So it has been thought out, and maybe someone hasn't come and said, well, we're going to use the field 5 nights a week from 5 to 10, and this is the usage is going to be, it's almost like common sense that if they have the lights available, believe me, they have the teams that want to play. So it's really, it's good. It's a good thing, and we're very lucky that we got the grant.
And respectfully, we've had the same conversation and literally have said the same thing up at this dais multiple times already. And again, respectfully, Mike, when Senator Singleton was at the field with us, Carolyn, Fern, myself, Janice was there, Phil was there, and like Kate said, she was out recovering from surgery. Troy indicated how he knows that this was a good place to spend the grant money on this. And respectfully, you were in the corner of the parking lot and refused to come to the photo opportunity with the senator during this. So you may not have heard that due to that.
No, I've talked to the senator several times before and after.
Good. Then you should understand, and I don't understand why we're bringing the same thing up over and over.
No, I was asking, the taxpayers, it'd be nice to know what the utilization will be. And just the ratio of utilization to the cost of this, is this the best place to spend this grant money? Yeah, it's good fortune that it came down. The way it went through the system was, left a lot to be desired as far as a democratic process and consensus by the full committee. But,
so whenever there's a grant that anyone wants, they come to the full committee and explain exactly how it's going to be used, like the shade tree grant, right? No.
Yeah.
Have a motion, please, to approve this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Kate and Carolyn. Have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Elect?
Yes.
Ms. Seuss?
Yes.
Mr. Templeton?
no.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes. Do we have any correspondence, Janice?
Just what you had already read regarding the receipt of the grant for the park lighting, the Field of Dreams lighting. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting is now open to the public for any comments or questions, session number 2. As indicated before, if you have any comments or questions, please come to the podium, give your name and address for the record. Meeting is now open. Ray, come on.
He was just here last week.
I'm too tired today.
Such a long walk.
I feel, yeah.
I was in Virginia 5 hours ago.
Oh, boy.
Wow. Should have carpooled with Phil or something, huh? All right, thank you, Ray. Being no comments or questions, we'll close this portion of the meeting to the public. I don't believe we have a need for another executive session. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Karen and Fern, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming out, everybody.